Alright, little Gleaner update. Ended up building the arms for the reel out of angle iron. This is 1.25 inches by 1/8, I believe. I had to build wood spacers for everything, bolted right up here. So the reel is working, well, kinda. Missing a belt. I got to get a belt to drive the reel. I don't know about that one either. Sickle drive, I've got parts for this. I think it's Mike's out of Kansas. He sent me some. What else have we done? Did some cleaning on the grain tank, washed it out with water hose. Got the wood block for the Gleaner. Had a joystick control back in the 50s, I guess, if you want to call it that. But forward is speed up, back is slow down. Lift for the header raise, down lets the header down. Got a little bit of rust damage there. What else? Seems like I've been working on it quite a bit, off and on. Engine runs good. Everything rotates, everything turns. I'm missing the belt for my spreader. I'm missing my spreader. So today I decided I'd take off try to figure out why my sieves are not level in there. And you can see that bolt. I don't know, maybe. There's a bolt on that side. There's one over there that held that up. The top sieve, bottom sieve, bolted in here. So this is all full of, I think I had a raccoon living in it, maybe some rats. So got it cleaned out pretty good, but I've got a problem with my sieves. And we're gaining on it, little at a time. Wheat's ready to cut. I'm not ready. But anyway, I think the reel turned out pretty good. So I've got a table saw, I've got some oak, but this is my sieve, the bottom one. Okay, these are the parts that there's a hole drilled for each one of these little rods, and that used to go on there. There's rivets. There's a bracket somewhere. Here's one of them. The other side's rotten. This side's rotten. Now the way they made these, I believe, is they drilled these holes, and then this top part has a bevel on it so that the grain stays off the sides. Anyway, with these rotten parts, riveted stuff, it's all rotten. That board there is rotten. The board in the front is rotten. So I'm working on building new parts. So this is a piece of oak, and I have drilled it. After I drilled it, I took the table saw and I cut it. And my holes are not really uniform. They're good on the spacing, but they go up and down just a little bit, which I don't think is going to hurt anything. Here's my next project. I got to drill this one. So the way I do this, and the way this is the way I figured out to keep it straight, is when I'm drilling, I'll actually drill before I cut this off. But I use this piece of plate that I have spaced the holes out on. I drill one hole and I use an old broken drill bit to space out the next hole. And these holes are 1 1/8 on center. And I got to do another one for that side. I've got to do two more for the top sieve, or the bottom sieve. This is the top one. The bottom sieve is in the same shape. I didn't realize what I was getting into. I kind of had an idea, but here's the thing. I'm going to try to leave these old boards in place best I can. This metal plate actually went across the front of this top sieve, and there used to be a board nailed across here, and it's gone, of course. So I've got to come up with how to build that. I don't have anything left but pieces like this, so I'm kind of going at it with I've got some pieces I can kind of figure out on my own. I've got some I can't. This piece here, there's a piece of wood that goes through the back, has it hinged on these little fingers here. But these are riveted. These are little nails. These little tin plates are nailed. There's a steel plate on the bottom. They used a tongue and groove joint here. I'm not really a carpenter. I'm not a cabinet maker. I just want to cut some wheat. And where I'm at now is I've got to fix my sieves before I can actually try to cut any wheat. This is, like I say, just so what I do is I'll drill the next board. I'll drill it on this line, and I'll use this for my spacing to get my 1 1/8" spacing. That just helps me get them uniform. Now the up and down, they're a little bit, it's real hard to keep them straight, but I'm learning as I go. But anyway, so will it harvest? It probably will. It's been raining quite a bit, so it's probably too damp to harvest anyway. But this is where I'm at on the Gleaner. This is kind of a mess. I've got my planer out. I've been trying to take a piece of oak that's kind of warped and cupped and make some good parts out of it. Oak might not be the best thing to use for this, but it's what I got. I would imagine these parts were built in the 50s, probably late 50s. I don't know. They lasted a long time. A lot of these seem like they may be, the bottom side seems to be oak. I don't know what they used on this top, but it's interesting. This side over here is a little bit wider spacing than this one. But it also has to do with there's an adjuster mechanism that when you pull this handle, it actually, there's a rack that you can open and close the amount of gap in your sieves. So the reason for that opening is you don't want too much trash going back into the combine to be rethrashed. So based on the book, it'll tell you how much to keep these open for wheat or oats or whatever crop you're harvesting. But some of the craftsmanship here is just you know, they used rivets, they used steel rivets. This is one of the pieces that holds, or is supposed to hold the sieve to the combine. Why they use wood, I don't know. I guess it was probably cheap and it worked well. So each of these rods has to be able to pivot, and like I say, that's what I've cut here. This is where all of these will sit, and then there will be a beveled piece that comes in on top, and this goes up against the side of the combine. It keeps the grain out in the sieve, not over across out the outside. So this is kind of technical stuff because your spacing has to be right. It has to be able to fit in the machine. You don't want it to bind up on these so that you can adjust them. Pain in the rear. I did not really foresee this being this big of an issue. I thought at first all it was there's maybe a strap or something broke, steel strap. But I'll show you this little mounting piece here is how they mounted. There's a bolt that comes in through the side of the combine. That's what holds the front of the sieve up. So this side was still attached. The other side, of course, was gone. So you ask where I'm at with the Gleaner. I'm kind of at a point in my life I wish I wasn't right now. This is just reverse engineering. There's probably a guy out there that's got a combine with good sieves in it. He'd probably sell them to me cheap. But at the point I'm at now, I'm like, well, let's just go ahead and fix what I got. We'll put it back together and we'll see if it works. Trying to think, is there any more? That's pretty much it. The combine starts, runs really well. Transmission works really well. Unloading auger works until I get a load of wheat, probably. I've got some belts I probably need to change. Is this worth fixing? Has been a question in my mind. It's probably not. The amount of wheat I'm cutting, 7 acres, if it does well, and I do get it harvested, we might make $1,000. I don't know. But we will have a combine running. Maybe next year we can concentrate on a few other problems. Anyway, so if you ever decide to do a will it harvest video with a combine, you got a challenge ahead of you. And I'm sure I'm not even close to being done yet. This is just the things I've got to get done before I can start to try to harvest. And then once I try to harvest, then we'll see what else breaks. That's kind of where I'm at. Because I could spend all my money on parts and all my time fixing things, but at the end of the deal, doesn't matter. I probably should go ahead and replace these center boards as well, but here's my thinking. If I get the 2 outside ones working, these inside ones will probably last a few more years. A few more years is all they need to last. So, but I do have to take this apart. The other sieve, I've got it sitting outside, the bottom one, and I haven't even started on it, but this is kind of where I was at today with a few hours of messing with cleaning out the combine, getting things sorted out in my mind. And oak might not be the best material. Like I said, it's what I got. I've got this is some rough sawn oak. Ran it through the planer. None of the boards are really straight. None of them are really true. The grain of the wood's not great, but I think it's going to work. So, harvest 2024 is running behind schedule, and that's just typical for how I do things. Anyway, there's a reason. I was gone for a week. I should have been here working on it, but I had to go to Vermont. So, how about you enjoy the video about Vermont, and we'll see where I end up with this in a few more days.